Okay, we're up to Hey Bays Amid Aleph. We're discussing. We said that if a person goes ahead and buys 2 trees, we said it's machlokas whether he gets karka or not. But everyone's maida, if he 3 trees, he would get the karka. What would he get? He would get Kamali Oyre Vasali, the place to go ahead and the picker can stay there with his sow and gather the produce. But we want to know exactly how much exactly is that? How much exactly is that? So we're up to pay bays amid bays. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines in the bottom. Okay, Vikama. Now, fellas, if you would have, so you get that area. Now, what's the area between the trees? What's the, it's each tree you would get that area around the tree, but what's the distance between the trees? So if I have this tree, I know I get an area around here where a picker can stay, but there's 3 trees, correct? What's the distance between 3 trees? Now, imagine if you have a huge expanse of trees and you have 3 trees, there's no havamina you're going to get the whole field because there's 3 trees in the field. So it can't, in other words, what's the maximum a distance apart, and then what's the minimal? So if they're planted in too close proximity, the Rashbam says they're not good for each other, and therefore they're there to be oiker, to be uprooted. So we want to know a minimal and a maximum, right? We need 2. What's the minimal amount? How close they can be together, and what's the max? How far apart in terms of how much you would get in karka? So that's the discussion over here. When it says v'kama over here, right? When it says the word vikama over here, it's discussing what's the minimal distance and the maximal distance that these trees have to be apart. So Yehei Beinayim, Amar Rabbi Yosef, that's Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Me'arba Amos ad Shmoina. So if it's less than Arba Amos, then you won't get. Then that's not good enough because it's too close. If it's 8, and not include ad b'chlal, up until. Right, up until 8, but not including 8. So if it was 8, then it would be that's too far. So the maximum you can get is up till 8, and the minimum you can get is up to 4. Rav Amar, Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel, double the amount. Mishmaina, Yad Chesrei, 18 until 16. 18 until 16, a much larger area you would get. So this is what Rav Nachman said. So Rav Yosef said 4 to 8, and in the name of Shmuel. And Rav Nachman reported in the name of Shmuel, 8 till 16. So machlokes in what Shmuel said. So Amalei Abaya said Abaya Rabbi Yosef. Now, again, Chol Rabbi Yosef v'shakach Torasa. Rabbi Yosef got sick, and he forgot his Torah. So we have throughout Shas Abaya his Talmud reminding him of the Torah that he forgot. So Amalei Abaya Rabbi Yosef le'tifla galed Rav Nachman. You Rabbi Yosef said 4 to 8. Don't argue Rav Nachman who said 8 to 16. He would know better what Shmuel said. Did not be maslis and kabase because we have a Mishnah like him. Now, our discussion over here, fellas, is the distance between trees. That regarding if you buy trees, how much karka you get. The Gemara is going to bring a raya from Zroyim, from Kalayim. Okay, so we know, guys, this Kalayim, Clay Zroyim, which could be the Rabbanon, and Clay Kerem, which is the Raisa. If you mix kalayim with the kerem, it's the right. That would be asa b'achila. Not only asa b'achila, would even be asa b'hana. It would even be asa b'hana. What does that mean? There's 2 halachas, and these are very important. Guys, get this down because it comes up all the time, and for some reason people don't know it. If you have 1 vine, it's not called a kerem. You can plant within an amma of that vine. If it doesn't have a shem kerem, you can plant within an amma of that vine. Good?
Even though later on it's going to change, you mean, but
Again, it doesn't change. You have a vine. It doesn't have a shem kerem. What's the distance you don't have to worry about the taruvis? That is 1 amma, or what we call 6 tefachim. If, however, guys, it's a kerem. Now, what's a kerem, guys? Picture a dice, 4. Picture a 4 on the dice. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 over here. So you have 2, 2, and 1 over here. That's 2 rows and a zonov, literally a tail. So there's two, like a four, and in addition, we over here you have on this side or the other side. Once it's a kerem, then the amount that you're allowed to plant is much more chumrah, and that's the machlokes we're going to have regarding kerem. We're then going to go ahead and apply that machlokes to our machlokes over here. And apparently, Abaye is saying that the share of 8/16 is the share by Kalayim, and therefore it should be the share here as well. So Tanya Kabase did none. Hanoite es karmoi, someone plants his kerem, sheish esrei ama, al shesh esrei ama, then mutu lehebi zera l'sham. You could bring a zera over there, meaning it doesn't have what? A shem kerem. Once, guys, maybe 16, v'loy ad b'chlau. So once you're at 16, it's larger than that area. Once you're at 16, it's larger than that area. So it doesn't say once it's 8, it says once it's 16, it's larger than that area. And then you'll be able to plant, again, you won't be with an amma in between, but you wouldn't have, again, if it's less than 16, then you'd have to distance yourself. You have to distance yourself, as we're going to see. So Rabbi Yehuda, Maisa bit Salmoin, there was a Maisa in Salmoin, a name of a place. Be'echot shenasta es karmoi, he planted his kerem, sheish esrei al sheish esrei amma, and what he wanted to do was, he wanted to go ahead and plant, he didn't want to go ahead and ruin it, so we wanted to plant some years here and some years there. He would go ahead and invert the branches, and he'd plant the empty area. The area that had been plowed. Okay, so just for brevity's sake, I sent out a picture from the art scroll. This is what it looks like, and I'll explain it to you. An area that's 16, that again, notice guys, where you go after the root of it, not the tip of it, the trunk of it, right? So the area, let's say area A, that's 16. He would leave that open. Then he would go ahead and plow the 14 area. And then he would leave this open, the C, which is 16. And then he'd plow this and this. In other words, he would go intersperse. And they permitted this, that you were able to plant in the 16 area, you'd be able to plant, because since it's 16, it's not clay kerem. In the 14, he would plow, but he wouldn't plant there, because since it's 14, that would be a clay kerem problem. Good? So so the main point is, the only thing we have to know is the 16 area is good, right? That's all we have to know from here, is the 16 area is good. So I just wanted to use this as a basis for understanding what the Gemara said. But the main point was that the 16 would not have a shem kerem, and therefore you'd be able to bring in that area and plant. Because again, it's not kerem ravoy. So Amalei, so Rabbi Yosef told Abaya. So again, Abaya told Rabbi Yosef, don't argue with Rav Nachman. You, Rabbi Yosef, say 4 to 8. And Rav Nachman says what? 16. I know lo yadana ela uvdahavi. I know a Maisa that happened. I know a Maisa. What was the Maisa? There was a place called Vidura de Ravasa. Literally in the city of shepherds. Literally, there was a Maisa in the city of shepherds. And what was the Maisa? The Asla Kamed Rav Yehuda of Amalei, Zil Havle, go give him, Kimole Bakar V'Kelav, give him the shear of Mole Bakar V'Kelav, the area around, guys, this you do know. What's the area around that you need to have your cattle go around? 4 amis, right? Remember, you to work around the tree, that area, you need a place for the plow, not the cart with the semed bakar. So go give them havli kimali bakar v'kelav v'lehayi v'liyadana, and they didn't know kimali bakar v'kelav kama. However, keeping the shamat lay that nan layita adam elon. This is we had in Perak Layachper, fellas. You're not allowed to plant an elon next to the field of your friend. L'sada chaverei elankin hirchek mimenu daled amis. Unless you distance yourself 4 amis, v'toni Allah dalid amis shamru kidei avodas hakerem. The dalid amis is the amount that when you work the kerem. So now I know. So amina shmami no kamali baka b'kelev dalid amis. So now you have what? 4. He doesn't say, yeah, Tyson says you only dealt with the minimum amount, you didn't with the maximum amount, and he was asking for the maximum amount. Okay, it's a long Tyson here. Okay, so 4 to 8. So you're telling me not to I disagree with Rav Nachman, because Rav Nachman's got what? He's got a Mishnah in Kalayim. I got a Mishnah in Baba Basra that says the minimal share 4 and 4 is 8. It's 4 is 8. 4. You have 4. So again, what's the conversation? Conversation is, what is the distance when you buy 3 trees? How much land do you get? Says Rav Yosef, the name is Shmuel, you get the 4 to 8. 4 being the minimal, 8 being the max. And says Rav Nachman, double that, 8 and 16. Says Abai in Shmuel, says Abaya to Rav Yosef, who had been sick, l'chayra, and therefore he wanted to remind him that, don't fool around Rav Nachman. After all, we have this Mishnah there in Kalayim where you see 16, it was over 16, you wasn't a problem with planting there. Good. So that's what he wanted to tie up. So Rav Yosef says, oh, well, I also know something. I know a Mishnah Baba Basra. I didn't forget all my learning, right? Or I was reminded of it. So I have a share of 4 to 8. So l'chayra, I have my backing also. Shmamina, Kamale Baka Vikela Dalan, Mr. Reb Yosef. Now, Reb Yosef says, Milay Tanan, the Reb Yosef also not have a source. Right? Where's the Bach? The Bach Bays. V'hatanan. Reb Meir, Reb Shimon Oimrim, Hanoite es Karmoi, Shmoina Amis al Shmoina, you go ahead and you plant the carrot, not 16 by 16, 8 by 8. Mutal lehevi zera l'sham. You're able to bring your zera over there. Meaning, fellas, guys, it doesn't have a shame kerem. Why? It's too big. Again, remember the Hakdama, guys. This is a piece of information that again comes up all the time, and I can't stress it enough. That Kalayim is asa is, but if it's a single vine, if it doesn't have a shem kerem, is an amma. Once it has a shem kerem, you have your machloikis within 16, within 8, then you have the machloikis, guys. Good. So now he's saying if you have 8 by 8, meaning an 8 ad veloy ad bechlal. So once you past 8, it's not called a kerem anymore. So therefore, you could bring zera and plant it there, provided it's not within an amma of something else. Provided it's not within an amma of something else. So l'chayra, he has strong backing. Afilohachi maisa adif. Nonetheless, maisa is stronger. In other words, maisa rav, when you have a situation where you have a psak and you have it brought into lemaisa is always more powerful than a shita of a tana. So you have over here 8 by 8, but he brought the Mishnah that Rav Nachman brought is a Maisa. That Maisa where the people in Salmon, he went ahead, fellas, and what was he doing? 16-14, 16-14, 16-14. That was the guy doing it Lemaisa. So good. So in other words, Abaya, you're correct in saying that Rav Nachman's Pshat and Shmuel is stronger than his 16 by 16 is stronger than your 8 by 8 because his 16 was buttressed, but what? With a Maisa, and a Maisa is always stronger. Okay, so therefore we have Abaya going along with Rav Nachman, 16 by 16, and we have Reb Meir, we have Reb Yosef going after Reb Meir and Reb Shimon. Now we have an over and an under, using a contemporary term, right? The over is 16, the under is 8, or the over is 8 and the under is 4, right? Good. So we'll call the over Mifuzarim, and we'll call the under Ritzufim. Okay? Mifuzarim means larger area, and Ritzufim means a small area. Okay, Gimel Amid Aleph. Says the Gemara. Now, Bishleim Reb Yosef, who was following the Shita of Reb Shimon, Alibad Reb Shimon, Shamin Alei Mifuzarin, 8, B'Shamin Alei Ritzufim. Mifuzarin Hodam Maran, we just brought the case of 8 by 8. Ritzufim, where did you hear the minimal share? Ditnan, Kerem Natua al Pachas Midalat Amis, a kerem that's planted less than Dalat Amis ain't a kerem. Divrei Reb Shimon. What is that? Kerem. What does that mean that what does that mean that it's not a kerem? Meaning you don't have the chumrah of planting. You're able to plant as long as it's not within an amma. And we'll take the middle out as if it's not there. We'll remove the amount of extra trees that extra planting that's there as if it's not there, and we'll keep it with the configuration of 4, 4, and a zana. So therefore, you have the shita of 4 and the shita of 8. We have the 8 by 8, and now we have this mishnah in that we had previously. This mishnah that this kerem that was Natu al Pachas Midal Amis is, so that gives us the sheet of what of less than 4. El Rav Nachman 16 by 16 you have, but you don't have the 8. I'll leave it to Rabbanan Mifuzarin Shaminin Lahu. You heard Mifuzarim, you heard 16 by 16, but it's Sufin Mishaminan Lay. But guys, did you hear 8? So guys, again, over and under 4, 8, 8, 16. So the 1, 4, 8, we had sources for both. The 1, 8, 16, we didn't have a source for 8. We had a source for 16. We had a source for 16. Says the Gemara, Svarahu, it's a Svara. Middle Rav Shimon, Palga, Rabbananami Palga. It makes sense to say when Rav Shimon, what was the makeup? It was the ratio of 2 to 1. So who adin the Chachamim? If you have 16, then the under must be. You have 16, the under must be half of that, 8, in the 2 to 1 ratio. Amar Rava says, Rava, Hilchasa, may arba amas esrei. Guys, they have like not 8 by 16 and not 4 by 8, but 4 by 16. You have the Chumrah. You have the Chumrah. The Chumrah, right? 4 by 16. Right? You have now, Tanya Kavase the Rava, 4 by 16. Kama yu mukuravim arba amos. What's the distance of that they can be close to each other? This is regarding the sale of trees, guys. This is regarding the sale of trees. Tanya Kavasi the Rava Kama Yikuravin Arba Amos. The Kama Muruchokim. What's the distance? Is Shesh Esrei. I said kind of karka. That's a Ilana Shebenehem. Therefore, you'll be kind of the karka and the Ilana Shebeshim. Okay. So the bottom line is, guys, we began to share. Guys, we began to share the Kama. What was the Shaila? Where you buy 3 trees, and it says you kind of karka because that's a stay elon. What's the minimal amount of area? 3 trees within 4 amas. What's the max amount of area? 16 amas. 16 amas. The fikach, therefore. Again, I don't know. I'm not with goodness. I'm not. Again, whatever. These are the numbers. How to fit that in, I don't know. It says the Gemara, Lefikach Yave She'ilon, since you have karka, if the elon dries up, by niktsas you cut it, yesh karka, I mean you can replace it. Pachas mikan, if it's less than this, or yoser alkan, then it's not a stay elon, and we're not going to apply the halacha about yesh karka. Or you bought them one after the other. Harizel loikana, you're not koina, loyas karka of loyas elanos shebenayim. You're not kind of the karka, you're not kind of the ilanis between them. The fikach, therefore, yabesh elon, if the tree dries up, or niktsas, so the tree gets cut down, and like karka, you have no karka, and therefore you can't replace it. Okay, so that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. The bottom line is it's 4 by 16. That's the share. Let's do the Rashbam. Amarava goes up. Hilchasa midal and amis. Where does he get that from? Keuvdu deravasa. That's the top line of a Gemara. Keuvdu deravasa. That was the 4 amis we got from there. Good. And where do you get the 16? Vat 16. Keuvdu did salmoin. The kulik rabbanon kapasik. The sire my depolik pligi. My delay polig lay pligi. So pligi b'chesam is mefuzarim. They argue by 8. Rav Shimon v'Shimon v'Ami Tezayin. If Shimon says 8, they say 16. Aval b'ritzufim dalet amis moidelahu. But if it's what the small area dalet amis to be moidel Rav Shimon. V'leinema middle Rav Shimon polig rabbananai pagal. We don't say Rav Shimon is a half. This is also half. We don't say 8, but it's 4. So in other words, fellas, if mice is odif, guys, just a concluding statement, fellas. Guys, you're buying karka, you buy 3 trees. If it's within 4 amas, more than 4 amas, you get. Up till 16. More than 16, you don't get. Where did you get 4 by 16? I would see the 8 by 16 or 4 by 8 is because both with the Maisa. One, the 4 was the Maisa with the city of what? Of the shepherds, and the 16 was the Maisa of Salmon. And the whole Gemara said that what? That Maisa Adif. So Mamelu Geshmak, even though there was not a psak, no one said 4 by 8. Someone said 4 by 8. Someone said 8 by 16. No one said 4 by 16. But as a result of the Maisa, we get 4 by 16. Those were the Maisa 4 by the shepherds, and the Maisa 16 by what? By Salmon Geshmak. Boy, Rabbi Yamia, when you're measuring this area, you want to, to get this area, moided mimakam katsar hu moided, or mimakam rachav hu moided. Where are you measuring from? You're measuring from the thick part of the tree or the thin part of the tree. Amalei Rav Gavia miksil Ravashi tash madet nan harakuva shebegefen ein a moided ella meika hasheni. Okay, so the Rashbam learns like this. If you have a graft of a geffen, you're not moided from the thin part, you're not moided from the thick part, you're moided from the beinani, from the middle part. So in other words, Ashayla was the thickest or the thinnest, and his psak is neither one. His psak is based upon, if you're measuring from a tree that is hakava, a grafted tree, you're getting what? You're getting in the middle. Now, this lashon harkuva is not the lashon that it says in the Mishnah. I looked this Mishnah up in Kalayim. It doesn't say the lashon harkuva. It says the lashon of arkuva. It's right. It's the lashon arkuva. In other words, if it's speaking about a grafted branch, what halacha is there that I have to know the measurement from the second piece? There's no halacha. Bishleim, if you tell me kalayim, I have to know the distance. But if you're telling me a graft, what nafkamina is the graft, guys? Guys, one more time. Guys, I'm losing you. Guys, eye contact. Let's get I know it's tired night. Listen up. Hey, they don't want to say anything. Anyway, like this, guys, geschmack. If I would tell you 2 halachas in distance, you tell me the same thing. We were sitting here this evening. We said distance le'inyan kalayim, and distance le'inyan how much karka you get if you climb the trees. Good. We want to say now, Shiloh, where do you go ahead and measure from? Do you measure the 16 or 4, wherever it's coming from? Do you measure from the thickest part or the thinnest part? Comes along the Gemara. It quotes a Gemara, a Mishnah in Kalayim. That Mishnah in Kalayim, fellas, is discussing, according to the Rashbam, is discussing grafting. And it's saying when it comes to grafting, when you're measuring, you don't measure from the thinnest, you don't measure from the thickest, you measure from Sheni, the middle one. That's what he says. Let's see Taisvis. Harakuva, bottom Taisvis. Harakuva Sheba Gefen. The Perish Akuntris, the Mefarish Lashon Harkava, Kasha. Chada, the B'Mishnah Kalayim Goris Ha Arkuva. Arkuva means like a knee, guys. It means like a knee. V'oid. So it's not speaking Harkava, a lashon of grafting. It's speaking about Arkuva, a lashon of knee. V'oid. Aryahi Mishnah beHarkava Klal. It's not Mishnah. If you look it up, it's not speaking about grafting at all. V'oid. The my nafkamina b'Harkava le'inyan Kalayim. When it comes to Kalayim, there's no nafkamina in distance with what? B'Harkava. So therefore, Tosfos has very strong problems with the Rashbam's pshat. The Nira says Tosfos, the Arkuva hainu habrecha. It means the what? The knee. Ka'adam hakoyre al birkov, like a person who bows on his knees. Kain koyre magefen ba'aretz. They would bow the gefen down. Kishu zaken when it's old. Harbe umachasin oisle bikarka. They then would cover it up in the ground. Be'emsa in the middle. Ksheishetishtaresh, in order that it should take root. In other words, this is called mavrech. V'kamar dein moedin le'inyan kalayim ela me'ika hasheni. You only start going ahead and counting kalayim from the second part. And with the lashon ikka mukach shemoidin mimakam roichiv, you're going to go from the part that is wide. You're going from the wide part. So he disagrees with Rashbam in 2 levels. 1, it's not speaking about grafting; it's speaking about kalayim. And 2, it's not. It's a 3rd level. It's what? The thickest part. And we can push it the thickest part according to Tosfos. Good. Says the so that one shaila. Nevish nachashal. Bar of Yirmiyah. Machalei shloisha bade ilan mahu. Now, this person is selling 3 branches of a tree. The tree now is the distance of 4 amas from each other. And what happened was they went in the ground, and it looks like you have 3 trees. So you bought one tree with 3 branches that are still connected to each other, and now, but they're covered up, and they look like what? The distance of 4 amas. And it appears like you bought 3 trees. Do you go after the elan itself, right? And therefore you have no karka, or you go after the shirish, each one, and therefore what? You would be kind of karka, even though it's connected to the ground. So that's the way the Rashbam learns the shaila. Boy, Rabbi Yomi, you sell them 3 branches of a tree, and now it's the distance of 4 amas apart, and certain earth comes up and covers it up. Do you view it as one tree and there's no karka? Do you view 3 trees as karka? Amalei, Rav Gvia, same person, maybe ksil from the Tanakh ksil, Rav Ashi, Toshma detan, hamavrich givul kafonim ve'ikrin nerin. If you take gafanim, guys, and you're sticking them in the ground, guys, this thing there's different ways to go ahead and plant. So to plant a separate sapling, or you can take an existing tree, take the branch, put it in the ground, wait till it takes root, and then you cut it. That's called havracha. So therefore, you marbich 3 gefanim, the ikrin nerin, but they're not cut yet. They could be mitzdarfim. They could be mitzdarif, lav a mitzdarfin. And therefore, by gimel alanis, it's like a stay ilan, and you be kind of karka. And be kind of karka. Boira papa. You have 2 trees in your field and 1 in the Meitzer. We're familiar with the Meitzer. We had it by Nichse Ager. If it's mafsik, consider 2 fields or 1 field. You're mafsik in 1 field. You're not cutting the other field. If there's a Meitzer between them, would that stop it from being considered 2 fields? Just to remind us of something that Meitzer. So you have two fields, 2 Sadea, and you have 2 trees. You're selling 3 trees. 2 are in a field and 1's on a Meitzer. 1 is on this boundary. You have 2 trees. You bought a tree from your friend. Now you're selling 3 trees, but 2 of them are in your rishus, and 1 of them is from your friend's rishus. What's the din? My teku. We'll have to wait for Eliyahu Navi to go ahead and answer that shaila. Boy Ravashi says Ravashi. Bor mahusha tapsik. Now we're going to have a few shilas, fellas, and these are all going to be contingent one upon another. It's going to be intim sulaima. If you say this is mafsik, what about this? Okay. So now, boy Ravashi, bor maushe tafsik. Can a bor be mafsik, right, between the trees, making 3 trees? Amasamayim mahu shetafsik. What about a canal of water? Rishusarabim mahu. What's the din of that being mafsik? Richva de dikla, a hedge of the kolim mahu. Let's see the Rashbam, guys. Boy Ravashi, imtim sulaim by the hach im mafsikin. If you're going to say it's not mafsik, let's say the Meitzar, the Lekashim Hefsik Beintayim. Avom Yesh Bor Shal Mayim Chunasim. In other words, you have, let's say, it's the cases of the Meitzar, or the case of your friend's field, there was nothing mafsik. What happens if you sell 2 trees, and then the 3rd tree is on the other side of a pit that has water in it? Avom Yesh Bor Shal Mayim Chunasim Bein Gimel Ilanois Mahu Shet Hafsik. Vimtim Suleima De Einu Mafsik. And if you can say they're not considered a hafsaka, they're not a barrier. Why? Because you can't see the water because it's in the pit. If you see a canal, mahu, because then you could see the water. So maybe a pit is not considered a hafsaka because you cannot see the water that's gathered in the pit. But an amas hamayim that's flowing where you could see the water, maybe not. The loy mafsik, comma, could go in midal ramas at tez zayin, v'loy tez zayin b'chlal. Again, you can't have tez zayin because it's too far anyway. Mahu shet hafsik. For the dikla. Covers the kolim, harbe biyaka, the hedges of the kolim, the damulam hafsaka tvei mikula. It's the most mafsik of all of them, and we say teku. Boimei hil Rabbi. Allah erez beinei mahu. So in other words, you bought 3 trees, and now a cedar tree grew up. Allah b'shusa dideg nafik. Guys, if you buy 3 trees in the right dimensions, you own the karka, right? And now a cedar tree grows up. What's the shaila? It's your cedar tree, so it's yours. That's not the shaila. Here's the shaila. Eres beinehem. You bought 3, but there's an eres between them. Mahu. Is that considered amalei kana v'kana? He said that eres is not a problem. You be koina. Says Rashbam, Hoya Erez B'Shas Mechira. It was there at the time of the sale. Kana v'kana. V'gam Erez kana la. Even the Erez will be acquired. K'detanya la'el. V'asay lana she'beinehem. You get the ilanas that are between them.
So you bought two, and then 3 weeks later you bought a third one.
No, you can't buy Yisach Hazel. We said Sezach is not. Okay. Ketzad. Hoya oimdim. How are these maybe Rabbi Avi, this is what maybe you were concerned about. How are these trees? How are they situated? Right. How are these, if that was bothering you, this is the Gemara. How are these trees situated? These Gimli Lonis, right? That are in the 4x8, 4x16 area. How are they Masuda, guys? Guys, you hear? You got 3 trees, they're in an area of 4x16, right? 16 not being Bechlal. And how are they situated? So says the Gemara. Rav Amar Kishura, like in a row, Shmuel Amar Kichatsuva, like a triangle. The Rashi gives you a little picture. Rashbam gives you a little picture, guys. Now, Manda Amar Kishura, the one who says that what's Kishura, that you will be kaina, Kol Shekain Kichatsuva. In other words, Kishur is more of a reason to say they're separate because you can go ahead and plow in between them. Right? Mashenkin and Khatsuva, they're more like a sealed unit. So if you hold that if you hold Kishura Kol Shekain Kitsuva, says Rashbam, Deina Kaka Roy Lacharisha, you can't plow there. You didn't leave anything over for yourself. Right? So in other words, if you're going to say, fellas, I got 3 in a row, which is in other words, between the area, I can have 15, I can have a large area in between where there's a svar to say I left it for myself and we don't say it. Kol shkem dechatsuva, where it's not so usable because you can't plow. Certainly we don't say that it's that you will be kind of karka. You would say you're kind of karka. However, umandama kechatsuva, according to Shmuel, that it's like a triangle, al kashura loy. My timer, mishum dim is dare ben tayu. The reason why you're not kaina is because you can go ahead and plant in between them. You can plant in between them. Maskav l'Amnuna l'me'anam kechatsuva my timer delay because delay mizdar ben tayim el miata zavanle tlas higi remaisa. If you go ahead and sell them 3 of these higi remaisa, some types of bushes or thorny bushes that are large kechatsuva, right? Even if they're kshura, you won't be able to plant there because you're going to get stuck. You're going to go in between, you're going to get stuck. So he said, in this case, you have high higi remaisa lemizdari ben tayu hachanami deish lekarka. You're going to say you have karka. Ella, notice the difference. Hanach lechashivi. Those hedges are not chashiv, and therefore the person's not makbid. Hanach, however, the trees chashivi. They're what the chashiv and the person mat is makbid. Okay, we'll stop over here. See, guys are falling out. It's only Monday, guys.